Thanks for doing this with me. I think it will be really interesting to learn more about your career path, how you became a software engineer after doing a lot of different things from Big Four and technology risk consulting. Would you like to introduce yourself, like kind of what you studied in school and how you became interested in technology, or even how you decided that this was the career path for you?
Yeah, so I double majored in accounting and computer information systems. And when I added CIS, I was already a junior, and my path was, I was already very heavily invested in accounting. And so, you know, right after college, I went with the Big Four, because whenever you're in accounting, when you're in accounting classes, all the professors and whoever, all the speakers that come in, they're like, yeah, you know, you got to do Big Four. And I wanted to give it a try before, you know, just dropping that.
Mhm.
And so after college, I did IT risk.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of learning for the first year.
Mhm.
And what I did was, you know, a lot of IT inspection, inspecting the client's IT infrastructure to assess the risks, and do a lot of transactional testing to make sure that all the data that flows into the financial statements are reasonable. We have reasonable assurance that they're accurate and complete.
Yeah.
And you know, I did a lot of code reading and testing to make sure, you know, that the codes run well. I think that was the funnest part of the entire job. And but that was only like 30% of the job.
Okay.
And so, you know, I realized that coding has always been something that I really enjoyed, especially in college. You know, creating all those like fun games with C#, that was like so much fun. And I enjoyed it a lot. And so I spent a year after to, you know, to explore other options, to explore SQL, what other careers that I could look into, like security, things like that. And because I mean, you could do like, you know, product manager, you could do data analyst, you could do so much with like that IT realm.
Yeah.
But essentially, I really like the coding part. And so I decided to enroll myself in a boot camp, which was the best decision I've made for myself. I had so much fun in there. But I would have to say that, you know, whatever you put into the boot camp is whatever you get out of. I went, you know, I enrolled myself in a cohort with 20 other people. After 2 months, 10 people dropped out.
Wow.
And for the remainder, like after we finished, after we graduated, only 3 people out of the 10 got a job. And even now, I don't think other people have updated their LinkedIn, so I'm assuming that, you know, that's not coming through for them. But I'm sure that they'll get there soon. It's just COVID is happening. It's harder, definitely harder to get a job. Everyone is in the market, you know, looking for one. So yeah, that's definitely a challenge.
True. So I guess, what was your first job like right out of college? Was it in consulting at Big Four, like IT consulting, you said?
Yeah, it was IT consulting, IT audit. So there's 2 sides to it. The IT audit part is for financial, no, not for financial, but like whenever we audit financial statements for companies, we also have to audit the IT side of it, and that is called integrated audit. So the integrated audit requires like an IT team, which is like, you know, us coming in, inspecting their IT infrastructure to make sure that, you know, everything that is, you know, from when the customers make an order all the way to whenever those numbers gets calculated and journeyed through the system and ends up in the balance on the balance sheet or in the financial statements. We make sure that whole process it it pertains to data integrity. So it makes sure to uphold those values and that we have reasonable assurance that those numbers are accurate and we could rely on them. And, there's a lot of testing involved. There's a lot of writing involved, which I never thought I would, get myself into after college. A lot of writing, a lot of testing, a lot of client interactions, and a lot of traveling. And it could be, international travel. It could be, from one side of the country to the other side sort of travel. But my sort of travel is more like driving an hour or 2 hours away for our clients every day for 6 months or something. And, there are times where I have to, they would ask me to travel to another state for some, to inspect their data centers. Mm-hmm. And, I have a kid. And so those are type of situations where I try to avoid, or type of clients that I try to avoid. But they're very flexible. It's just, the writing part was a huge part of it. Testing, and whether or not you like IT, whether you like something very, very technical, mm-hmm. or you like something that is there's a lot of gray areas, like accounting. You just gotta inspect the case and then see for yourself. You have to slowly examine these attributes and see if it's reliable or not. Mm-hmm. Whenever we have deadlines, that's when we have to get stuff done. Or mm-hmm. we always have to get stuff done, but whenever we have deadlines, that's when the work-life balance gets really, really out of hand. So it could be working 10 hours a day to 14 hours a day to 15 hours a day. So it really depends. And we have channel 1 and channel 2 work. So channel 1 work is for clients that we have to inspect their financial statements, uh-huh. and then audit their financial statements. And then channel 2 work is where your consulting side comes in. So your SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3 reports. So the SOC reports, the schedules are a lot crazier because you have the projects are due in a month or 2 or 3. So you have to compress all of your meetings, all of your testing within that short period. But for, the channel 1 clients, you have all year round to plan for your testing and analysis. And yeah, it was a lot of learning for the first year, but then afterward it kind of plateaued,
Right. That makes sense. So what was the transition to software engineering like? I know that you said you did a boot camp. Did you think that was one of the biggest factors to help you make that transition? Or was there other things that you did along the way?
Yeah, the transition to software engineering was, I would say, quite smooth, primarily because, given that I learned some coding in college, and then my job right after still has code, I still looked at codes, I still read codes. It wasn't 100% of my job. It was more 30% of my job, but it was still code involved. And then during my time at EY, I also picked up some skill sets here and there. During my spare time, I try to take Udemy courses, pick up something that would help me transition to it. And I realized, if you want to learn best practices, if you want to learn, because, technology and coding languages, everything changes so drastically, yeah. And you don't know what's the next new thing. And so if you want to pick up from where you left off, it's I don't know. When I learned coding, it was jQuery, and PHP was a big deal. And now jQuery is even used sometimes, I guess, not really. So right. So yeah, things change every single year. And bootcamp, I researched for a week before this landing on a boot camp, and afterward everything was smooth sailing. Yeah, it was very very smooth, and I would say one of the primary reason why it was smooth because I really give it my all for the boot camp. I dedicated at least 10 to 12 hours a day studying and reading and just honing on those skill sets, because if you really want to make it happen, then you really want to put in your all.
Right.
So yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, that I think that's the biggest advice I could give.
Yeah, for sure. So what is a day in the life like now for you? Do you want to tell us a little more about what you kind of do there, or even what the company does?
Yeah, Fernish is amazing. We do subscription-based furniture rentals.
Okay.
And it's not just any furniture rentals. It's we pride ourselves in conserving the environment, making sure that the furnitures that we have are of quality, so that we could not reuse them, but like refurbish them and give it another set of meaning after after a person rents it, and then we could make it look nicer and then rent it back out. And we allow customers to purchase the products for a discount if it is a used product. It helps us become more environmentally conscious. A day in the life would be, we make up our own schedule, especially during this time everyone works from home. So I would, start my day typically at 7. So 7 to 8 is I get an hour of something in, or sometimes I wake up at 6. So those 1 to 2 hours, I get something in, either catch up on emails and then get started. Feedback from whatever feedback that I get from my last PR. I take my daughter, get her ready, take my daughter to school, and then at 9 is when I resume back to work, and resume back to work to whatever meeting I have. So sometimes I have Epic meeting. So Epic is a smaller project group that we have internally. I have it once a week, and it's for another Epic. And then we would have some meetings throughout, but it would be 1 to 2 meetings or 3 meetings with the team. And then at 11:50 is when we have our daily stand-up. Okay. And then, I think it's just 2 or 3 meetings a day, unless it's Friday. Friday's meeting packed. And that's we have retro. So we have engineering retro for an hour to reflect on what we did during the entire week. And then we have a company retro that, whatever we have for updates, such as employees, such as what we want to talk about to help us improve, or what's funny, what do we want to share as a company. So I think those are something that brings the company back together, especially when it's all remote. Yeah. And my company does donuts once a week, and donut is something where we get randomly paired with another coworker, and we just talk for 30 minutes that are non-work related. So it's really fun. And then we are also doing meatless Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we try not to have any meetings and just really focus on our work. So we just started that 2 weeks ago, so I'm still really excited for it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Nice. So what do you think are important skills for somebody in your role? Any particular programming languages or technical skills, soft skills, anything you can think of?
Yeah, I guess important skills are, it's different when you're looking for a job, and then when you got the job, the skill sets are very different in terms of, in terms of how to get a job, and then how to be successful at the job. But I would, go for the latter, how to be successful for the job. soft skills definitely important. I think in any professional jobs, being clear, communicate clearly of what you're doing. After an hour of trying something, you should ask for help and not like wait for all day, until at the end of the day to ask. So I think those are, important. But I would also say feedback, constantly asking for feedback and giving feedback is also, something that would help each other grow.
Right.
And that is a value that my company, that we uphold a lot and we voice a lot. I would say languages is not an important thing. Don't focus on the language, but focus on what you could get out of the language. Like focus on just like learning one language really, really well, such as, the instances, the class, the data modeling, things like that. Once you learn that language really well, then you could apply those knowledge concepts to other languages. They're all the same. I mean, it's one of my mentors emphasizes really well. When you're building a house, you don't use one tool to build a house. You use many tools, and they are used for different things. And it's the same as coding languages. They're all good for different things. Some are better for making a game. Some is better for like data science.
Right.
They're all different.
That's a good analogy. Because people are so focused sometimes on like what's the one magic like programming language that we need to learn, but then it's like most of the time it's not like one answer. It's like a combination, and they're using different things.
Yeah, that's why when I apply to jobs, it doesn't make sense when I see the job descriptions request for this many years and so languages, such and such. And what's special about Fernish is when they look for candidates, they don't look for that. They just want you to know the concepts, and then you could come in and then learn the languages of their tech stack,
True. So any advice for interview preparation? I know you talked about what skills are good for on the job, but when you were preparing for all those interviews, it can be a little bit overwhelming for somebody just like in the process. So do you have any advice for that?
Oh my gosh, tons of advice. So first of all, there's a few portions of the interviews. There's the technical round. There's the HR round, the round with the recruiter. Actually, I'll start in the beginning. So with the recruiter, and then technical, and then with the manager, and then maybe with like the founders, or another round with the team. So the first round with the recruiter, really research the company, research the articles, what are the latest updates, if they had like seed funding recently, that's really exciting news to them. So bring it up, that you did your research and that you're also excited for them. And research the company with the recruiter. And smile when you talk on the phone, because sometimes when you're talking to someone through the phone, they can't see what you're doing, and they can't see your expression, but they can definitely hear it. So definitely smile. And then for the technical round, practice those leak code questions. Not even leak codes. I found so many awesome GitHub repos that I could practice for JavaScript, for algorithm, anything. And also watch YouTube videos of how people solve their way through. Because you can learn the way they think too. Right. Like everyone thinks differently. So like if the more you absorb, the better you'll be off. And if they give you questions, you see many approaches to them, and then you can assess which approach is the best. And then for the manager round, also, ask the recruiter if there's any tips, because every manager is different. yeah, so like, ask them like, how, is this manager, like, what are they most interested in? So I could like, talk about that. Because sometimes they'll give you helpful hints like, oh, this person, really like certain candidates that exemplifies certain attributes or certain traits.
Okay.
And make sure to, do your homework, do your research on the particular person too, on the particular manager.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because like on my previous, interviews, I would always check which school they're from, and I could always connect them through that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to connect them through engineering because like, you might not, I mean, the interview is already on it, so.
Yeah, that's a good tip because like a lot of times when you research the interviewer, you can't find something in common, and then it'll be interesting to be like, oh, okay, we did this, we went to the same school, or like we went to the same like organization, or did something in common.
Yeah, exactly. There were a few interviewers that I also did Big Four, and so we connected a lot.
So last question, any last words of advice for anybody looking to do like a career transition in tech, or are just kind of getting started, like right out of college or something? Any other resources that you know of? I think you mentioned Udemy courses, and any other websites or things that helped you?
Yeah, articles. Read articles of people experiences. Everyone have different experiences and have different opinions and advice on how to get there. If you really want to get there, do your research, watch YouTube videos of people talking about their journey. There's so many. I watched so many. I watched so many of mock interviews on YouTube. That was so helpful. Mock interviews. And really spend a lot of time tailoring your resume.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, that doesn't mean changing what you previously did to match the new job description, but I mean changing it to where it shows that you uphold those values of the company you're applying for. And yeah, like, really tailor yourself. Whatever documents that you submit, make sure that it really voices you did your research, you really want this company, and that's what they really want to see.
Yeah, very true. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I think this was really helpful and really inspiring too. I keep forgetting you also have a child, so it probably is like a lot of balance with, transitioning your career and also doing all this stuff. And I think you mentioned that you're also writing an article too, right? So maybe some people can check it out too once that's up.
Yeah. I'm hoping to send it to my manager to post, for him to post in like a week or two. So
Cool.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.